Shit. Oh shit.
Hi guys, my name is January Eyler, and I'm here today to tell you about my musical. So this is kind of like the definitive, here's what you need to know about Totaled as it exists on the internet now, why I wrote it, kind of what the themes are, what I wanted people to get out of it, where you can watch it and listen to it, and how this specific release and how the Pro Shot and album for this specific musical are different than others in a way that's really cool and ethical and nice, and in a way that also directly pays the people who put it together, not just the producers who put it on. Which we'll get more into later, because you'd be surprised. So, Totaled, a folk rock thriller, is a musical with a book and lyrics by me, January Eyler, and music by the awesome Neil McClendon. It takes place in the sleepy Pennsylvania town of Calum Run, very inspired by towns like Twin Peaks and Silent Hill and like media like that. Very like rural town. And the star of our show, Paige Chambers, makes her way back to this hometown after 4 years of being estranged and disowned by her family. She's been really struggling, you know. She makes her way back basically with a death wish. She stumbles into the local demon who has been trapped there for centuries, and serendipitously makes a deal to magically trans her gender and get her two best friends back if she can just kill the heir to the Redfield Church, who also just happens to be her ex-boyfriend slash situationship slash best friend, Clay Redfield. It's really simple. Will she do it? You'll have to watch and find out. Meanwhile, while that's all going on, we have the awesome Marisol and Angelica, Clay's girlfriend, Marisol. Clay is a girlfriend. Clay's hanging out with Paige while you... Marisol invited Angelica over for a movie night with her and Clay, so that way Angelica can see how much he's changed and how much they've grown together and how positive things are. But Clay is off with Paige, and so Mari and Angelica are left to their own devices having this movie night and not really knowing how to proceed because of all of the unspoken weird BS between them. Totaled is about and has a lot of different things going on thematically, but the biggest things that we really wanted to highlight with the iteration especially that you see is the idea of consequence, the idea that all of your actions have consequences, you know, and all of your inaction also is action and has consequence. The other big thing that I really wanted to touch on was breaking out of toxic and abusive cycles, and like what that looks like and what can happen if you don't. Because as somebody who's been there, when you give in to toxicity and you either allow someone back into your life who wasn't good for you, or you engage in behavior that might not be as productive as it is self-destructive, you hurt yourself. You hurt the people around you. You change your world. You change the world around you and how you perceive it. And that is where the horror comes from. It's that, and it's those feelings and those experiences transmuted into magic and supernatural events and scary things. I think the messaging of Totaled, like what I want people to get from it, it's different for cis people and for trans people. I think for a general cis audience, like very simply, I want them to watch Totaled and see what happens when you engage in toxicity, when you consciously make the choice to engage in risky behavior that you think only hurts yourself. Because the reality is there are people who care about you, and it doesn't only hurt you. Your actions, even though they are meant to be self-inflicted, destroy your relationships with other people, you know? And when you realize that and you're left with the decision to grow, you have to grow with the understanding that you might never get back what you've lost. But you should grow anyway. And that's what I want people to get from Totaled. I just see a thing where it's like, you know, like, I'm gonna do this and get better so this thing can happen, or this person can like me, or this thing can be fixed. And it's like, but would you do it if the only goal and the only thing that you got out of it was your happiness and your peace? You know? The message for trans people in Totaled is a little bit more complicated. And broadly, it's that as we transition into the person we want to be physically, we cannot neglect the boy or girl or person in our mind that is in pain and that is hurting. We need to pay attention to our emotional growth as well as our physical growth. Paige is somebody who gets exactly everything she wants physically. She looks exactly how she wants to physically, but she's still that same person she was 4 years ago. And that's not all her fault. She had a shit ton of trauma. There was so many things that happened within those 4 years, but nobody else is going to take responsibility for us. And we owe it to ourselves as we become the people that we want to be physically, that we also allow ourselves to become the people that we are meant to be mentally. We deserve it. So that's kind of like the theming and the big why. The big thing is I wanted to subvert a lot of really awful tropes that trans women are put under. These are trans women who are always going through a tragedy in which they are completely helpless. They are dying of AIDS. They are dying of some sort of estrogen-related illness. They have an abusive boyfriend. They, bottom line, have no agency and are always in some sort of desperate turmoil. And with Paige, she is this woman, this trans woman, who is completely by herself with this straight man who has a lot more power than her. And he's driving the car, and on paper, there's really nothing she can do. But she, because of her pact with Ariok, she holds all the cards. She is allowing herself to be helpless. And, you know, part of that is where a lot of the complicated things come from in the show is like, why? Like, why is she doing that? I know that it could be played a bunch of different ways, but my Paige does it because I don't think she can help it. I think she's immediately disarmed by Clay, and so, you know, she can't bring herself to do what she has to do and get him where she needs to be, or where he needs to be, because I never thought he'd be sincere. The right answer, it's unclear, you know, not to quote the musical itself. But yeah, those are the big whys. So you can actually watch the full production of Totaled in a really beautiful pro shot edited by moi. Ooh, that was really good. On the Dumb Witch Dolls YouTube channel, it looks like this. You can just click on it and watch it. The full thing is on there with our full cast. The album is also available on Spotify and wherever you stream your music, so give it a listen. This was a fully accessible production that we had at Theater Horizon in Norristown, Pennsylvania back in 2024. It was so awesome. It was everything I've ever wanted theater to be in terms of accessibility, equity, and just people. The people were really awesome. Girl, don't cry. It was really beautiful. And the pro shot and the album both use an equitable payment model that I developed myself, which basically allows the revenue from streams to be directly shared with everybody who was involved in putting the show together, and also the actors that you hear on the album itself. So everybody that you hear on the album, Oliver, me, Tara, Jokey, we all get a split of the album revenue in perpetuity for forever, every time you stream Totaled. And since it is a live cast album, this also extends to the team that put the show together. So that's Sawyer V. Green as our director, Neil McClendon, our music director, and Gregory Boyer, our choreographer. They all get paid in perpetuity as well. And then finally, we're all the way up with the producers, who typically get revenue for this thing. The show itself and the album were produced by me, Sushi, and me, January Eyler, Sushi Susie, and August Riley Greenwood. It happens more often than not in cast albums that if you are not a type of producer, that you don't get paid more than, you know, what you got paid to record whatever you recorded in the studio. Which means an album can get streamed millions of times and the actors and singers that you actually hear don't see any of that. Which I think is really messed up, because without the singers, you would not have an album. Without the instrumentalists, you would not have an album. And so that's something that I developed that we got to use for the Totaled Pro Shot and album, and also for the Rockabye album. The Rockabye album functions the same way. The whole cast gets a percentage of the revenue in perpetuity, as well as Sushi and our production team. It's really awesome. Just by listening or watching, you support a gaggle of really awesome trans theater artists. I'm so proud of the work that we've been able to do with it. And, you know, I can't wait to see how it kind of grows and develops. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video and getting to the end. Again, the Totaled Pro Shot and the album are available both of these places for free. Or not both of these places, these are both the things. Or maybe they are. I don't know what I'm pointing to right now. But here are things. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thank you for supporting Totaled and queer art and stuff. Meow, 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 meow.